Have you ever stopped to think that, instead of building cities on Mars or the Moon, we could create huge metropolises floating in space, orbiting the Earth itself? Would that be more practical, cheaper, and even safer than colonizing other planets? This debate is not new. Since the 1970s, scientists have discussed the possibility of building gigantic habitable space structures known as orbital cities. They would be like immense space stations, but much larger, capable of housing tens or even hundreds of thousands of people. Imagine skyscrapers, parks, artificial lakes, and even entire farming systems floating in the vacuum of space, just a few thousand kilometers from where we are now. But then comes the question, why invest billions to live in orbit when we still have so much space on Earth? The answer may lie in the problems we already face today. Overpopulation, climate change, resource scarcity, and geopolitical disputes may make life on our planet increasingly difficult. So, could the solution for humanity's future be to create new homes beyond Earth's surface? And more, how do you imagine daily life in an orbital city would be? Would we be free to live as we do on Earth, or would we be bound by strict survival rules in a completely artificial environment? Building orbital cities around Earth would not only be a futuristic architectural dream, but also one of the greatest engineering and scientific challenges in human history. After all, how could we create such colossal structures in space, without gravity, without oxygen, and exposed to cosmic radiation? One of the most discussed ideas is the concept of O'Neill cylinders, enormous rotating habitats that would generate artificial gravity through continuous movement. This would allow inhabitants to live almost as on Earth, walking down streets, growing food, and even breathing air produced by closed recycling systems. It sounds feasible, but to this day no one has managed to build anything even remotely close to that scale. Another crucial point is energy. To sustain entire cities, we would need virtually inexhaustible sources. Scientists believe that gigantic solar panels, positioned in space, could collect energy from the sun without interruptions, far more efficiently than any power plant on Earth. But could we store and distribute that energy safely? And what about resources? Transporting materials from Earth would be extremely expensive. An alternative would be mining asteroids or even the Moon to obtain metals and minerals. But then comes the question, who would have the rights to these cosmic resources? Nations, private corporations, or an international administration? And you? Do you believe humanity already has the technology to start this project, or are we still trapped in a dream too distant to become reality? If orbital cities ever become reality, the impact will not only be technological, but also deeply social and political. Who would have the right to live in these habitats? Would they be refuges only for the wealthy, turning space into a new luxury condominium beyond Earth? Or would there be a collective effort to ensure that all humanity could benefit from this achievement? Space, after all, belongs to no single country. But what if private corporations started controlling these cities? Would we face a new form of colonization, where Earth's orbit became a stage for power struggles even greater than those on the planet? Imagine nations competing not for terrestrial territories, but for entire space metropolises. Would this unite humanity or divide it even further? On the philosophical side, these cities raise profound questions about identity and belonging. If people were born and raised in space, would they still consider themselves Earthlings? Or would a new culture emerge, with different values, beliefs, and even traditions, marking the beginning of an interstellar humanity? And what about religion? How would human existence be interpreted while living beyond Earth, looking down at the blue planet every single day? Would this strengthen our spiritual connection, or make us question even more the meaning of our existence in the universe? Now I ask you, do you believe orbital cities would be the chance to create a fairer, more united society, or would they only repeat on an even larger scale the inequalities and disputes we already face here below? When we think about the future of orbital cities, we can imagine completely different scenarios, some full of hope, others filled with risks and uncertainties. In the most optimistic scenario, these cities could mark the beginning of a new era for humanity. Imagine self-sustaining habitats with clean, infinite energy, advanced farming systems, and societies living in harmony, free from the pollution and conflicts that still plague Earth. We could transform orbit into a vast innovation laboratory, capable of solving environmental and social problems on our home planet. Perhaps this would be the decisive step toward becoming an interplanetary civilization. But there is also the dark scenario. What if these cities became exclusive fortresses for an elite? Earth could turn into a second-class world where billions struggle against environmental and social crises while a few enjoy comfort in space. In that case, instead of solving inequalities, orbital cities would only deepen the divisions we already face. There is still an intermediate scenario: orbital cities coexisting with Earth gradually, connected by international agreements and regulated to prevent abuse. In this model, they would not replace terrestrial life but serve as a complement, expanding humanity's horizons. And in the end, everything depends on one essential question: are we ready to build fair and responsible societies in space, or will we repeat the same mistakes we've already made here on Earth?